And I'm just thinking like what a difference it would have made in my life if I had any of these books as a kid. So many years of performing heteronormativity. There's a spider right here. Hello, tiny spider. Go over there. Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is our Pride Month edition of my picture book reviews. My name is Sim Kern. My pronouns are they, them. This is Pride Month. I'm a trans non-binary author. I'm also identify as pansexual. And I'm excited to share some queer picture books for you that you can read with your kids to celebrate Pride, and then hopefully you'll like some of these to add to your permanent collection. Be celebrating Pride all year round. When I checked all these books out of the library, I was thinking, like this week as I've been reading them with my daughter, I've been thinking like if my mother-in-law could see me now, like all her worst fears about like liberals trying to convert kids to being gay are coming true. But it's really like, even though we've been reading just like nothing but Pride focused books all week since I checked these out from the library, it's really such a drop in the bucket compared to the heteronormativity that is like prevalent in all other kids medias and every single Disney movie and everything. So it's great to have a nice big stack of 12 books to kind of counteract those messages. And I've already had some great conversations with my daughter about it, although like she's around queer people all the time, so most of it like just doesn't even faze her at all. The first book is Maiden and Princess, written by Daniel Hack and Isabel Galupo, and it was illustrated by Becca Human. And my daughter absolutely loves this book. It's a rhyming poem about a maiden who goes to a ball and she's expected to like marry the prince. And instead she ends up falling in love with the princess. This has definitely been one of my daughter's favorite books from the stack. There was never like a question for her about like why are two girls getting together, but we have like we're like close friends with a lot of lesbians, so she knows a lot of lesbian couples. So it just wasn't even like a question for her. The art is like really, really cool. It's nice that the people in the kingdom are like very racially diverse. And I also like kind of the body positivity of like, it's not the like super skinny princesses that, you see in a lot of kids media. Here's the happy couple at the end. My daughter keeps requesting it a lot. She's 4, and I think this book would be great for any kids age probably like 3 to, 8, 9, 10. Older kids, particularly if they already know they're queer, would like really love this kind of representation. And I'm just thinking like what a difference it would have made in my life if I had any of these books as a kid. So many years of performing heteronormativity and cisness would have been spared. But anyway, so Maiden and Princess is wonderful. By one of the same authors, Daniel Hack, and a different illustrator, Stevie Lewis, we have Prince and Knight. So this is a same kind of thing, fairy tale turned on its head. In this case, the prince is told to find a bride and ends up finding a knight to fall in love with instead. This one was the one that we don't have like any close family friends that are cis gay men. So this one, my daughter was confused because there's princesses on the cover and she was asking me like, why aren't the princesses getting with the prince? And I was like, well, the prince loves the knight and they love each other. And she's like, well, where's the princess? Like, why doesn't the princess have like a role here? So that was kind of funny. We had a conversation about, that. And this book so she's also been asking for this one though. She really likes this one as well. The art is different. Different artists obviously, but still very fun. There's a dragon attack in this one, which is quite exciting. I will say like the poem in this one gets kind of clunky in places, like it's kind of hard to read. So it took me a couple times reading through it to be able to read it really smoothly because it's just the meter breaks in places where it's kind of weird. But yeah, overall is a great book, Prince and Knight. I think owning like both of these and including them in your library would be like a really great thing to have. Okay, this is one of my favorites. This book is maybe for a little bit older readers, so you might know A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo. And this was a book that John Oliver, he didn't write it, but he presents it last week tonight with John Oliver Presents. I think he like commissioned this book to be written. It was written by Marlon Bundo with Jill Twist was the author, illustrated by E.G. Keller. This one is so funny. So Marlon Bundo, if you don't know the story, is Mike Pence's rabbit. And a few years ago, when Mike Pence was doing some shitty anti-queer things, John Oliver commissioned this book saying that Pence's pet rabbit, Marlon Bundo, is actually a gay rabbit. In the book, it teaches the message of like being different is awesome and not something to be controlled. So little Marlon Bundo falls in love with another boy bunny named Wesley, and all of the animals in the garden are so excited for them except for the stink bug, who you may recognize from the hair is a nod to Mike Pence, and the stink bug is saying no, boy bunnies can't marry boy bunnies have to marry girl bunnies. And all the animals in the garden get together and realize that they don't want the stink bug is in charge, and they don't want the stink bug to be in charge anymore, so they get together and vote him out and say, you are not in charge anymore. And then, Marlon and Wesley are able to get married. I really like, even if you don't totally believe in the supreme efficacy of neoliberal democracies or pseudo-democracies, I think everyone can get behind the theme at the end, which is that stink bugs are temporary and love is forever. It's a really funny book and just like delightful. This is one like I wouldn't mind reading it 1,000 times, which I'm probably going to have to do. So definitely recommend Marlon Bundo. Okay, also in Animals Can Explain Gayness, Tango Makes Three. This is one of the oldest queer books that I've been aware of. It published in, 2005. So this is one of the first like gay picture books that came out that I was aware of. So the author is Justin Richardson and Peter Purnell, and it was illustrated by Henry Cole. This is the true story of two gay penguins, and it's really important to also, teach kids and for all human beings to know that homosexuality exists all over the animal kingdom. So these two male penguins at the New York, the Central Park Zoo fell in love. They made a nest together. They lived as mates, the way that usually male and female penguins live as mates. And they built a nest, and they would like try to hatch rocks, like pretending they were eggs, which is like so sad. And then another penguin couple had 2 eggs, but they were only going to be able to care for one. So the zookeeper like stole one of the eggs and gave it to this couple of male penguins to raise, and they were able to raise a healthy chick. And it was like a beautiful little gay family love story that happened in real life at the Central Park Zoo. And this is a great little picture book about it. So we love this one. It's a classic. Definitely recommend, and Tango Makes Three. The next one, and I think it's so important to not just get the gay animal books, but have like human queer people too. So this one's Uncle Bobby's Wedding. Unlike the Marlon Bundo book, which actually deals with homophobia, this book, and actually most of these books, there's no homophobia whatsoever. So in this book, Chloe, there's a moment though where you think there's going to be in this book. So Chloe's favorite uncle is Uncle Bobby. And when she first finds out that Uncle Bobby is marrying Uncle Jamie, she's confused and upset. So there's that moment where you're like, uh-oh, what's going on, Chloe? But then it's because she's worried that once Uncle Bobby gets married, he's not gonna have time to play with her anymore. And so he reassures her, and then she's able to help out with the wedding. The wedding is very fun and beautiful, and we get to see the boys kissing and then dancing. Really nice, contemporary, modern day Uncle Bobby's Wedding. Love this one. Oh, and that's by Sarah S. Brannon. Pictures by Lucia Soto. Okay, the next book I have actually reviewed before, but I love it so much. I think it's like essential right now for any family trying to promote queer positivity and an understanding of gender identities in their kids. So this is the book I found explaining gender identities, and it's called It Feels Good to Be Yourself, a book about gender identity. It goes through 4 characters: Ruthie, who's a transgender girl; Xavier, who's a cisgender boy; and then I think it's Alex and JJ, and they're both non-binary. Alex feels both like a boy and a girl, and then JJ feels like neither a boy or a girl, which I'm able to tell my daughter, like, that's how I feel. That's why, we use they, them pronouns for me. So this is a great book for explaining those kinds of things to your kid. I really like it explains how when you're a baby, you know, people make a guess about your gender, and that's what we did with our daughter. We didn't try to raise her non-binary because that would have also been a guess, and it would have been a guess that would have made things complicated for her in Texas, right? Like, we didn't want to put that on her unless it's something that she wants and chooses at some point. So we made a guess based on her body that she was a girl. And so far, at age 4, we are correct. But the cool thing is, this book is like, if you feel like a girl, it's okay to say that you're a girl. And if you don't feel like a girl, it's okay to say that too. And my daughter has definitely been like, I'm a girl, I like being a girl. I'm glad to have those conversations proactively, and this is a great book to do that. The next 2 books, again, they would make like a great set to have in your house. So the first one is I Am Jazz, which is the true story of Jazz Jennings. It was also written by Jessica Herthel, pictures by Shelley, I think, McNicholas. And Jazz, who's I think 19 now, this book came out when she was 13, and she's a transgender girl. And it does talk about her experience of being pressured to live as a boy when she was younger, and how her parents wouldn't let her wear the things she wanted to always. But eventually she saw a doctor, and the doctor explained, you know, being transgender to her parents, and they came around. She does kind of explain, like, her teachers were sometimes confused and didn't want to let her use the right bathroom and didn't want to let her play on the right sports team. But it ultimately had a happy ending for Jazz. Unfortunately, right now in the country, like, are trans kids going to get to play on the right sports teams for them? Like, I don't know, that's up in the air. But definitely, if everyone is reading more books like this, we'll have more understanding to support trans kids, especially if you're a kid. It's very likely that your kid is going to, even if they're not transgender, at some point they're going to run across a trans kid in their school days, and we want to make sure that they have an understanding of that and they can be supportive of those kids. So I Am Jazz is a great book for just about a transgender girl. And there's pictures in the back too, which my daughter finds really fascinating, of like Jazz when Jazz was living as a boy, and then Jazz, you know, being able to live now as a girl. And I don't know, she really likes looking at those pictures and talking about them. And kind of a companion to that is When Aiden Became a Brother. So this is a newer book. This was 2019. And this is by Kyle Lukoff, illustrated by Kaylani Juanita. So I like that it's a non-white family as well. Just great to see like lots of different diversity within queer books, like not seeing all whiteness in queer books. When Aiden was born, everyone thought that he was a girl, and then eventually he's able to tell his parents that he is a boy. And then he finds out that he's about to become a big brother. And he's actually really concerned that his little sibling will not be understood in the way that he felt like he was not understood as a kid. And so this is actually a family that's making this decision to raise their child as non-binary, which, you know, again, I think is a great thing to do if you live in a supportive community where that's going to be a safe thing and not like expose a very small child to a lot of transphobia, which is unfortunately how we feel it would be here in Texas. But so yeah, they're kind of trying to pick out like gender neutral paint colors and gender neutral names for the kid, and just being really excited about this baby being born, but not making any assumptions about what the baby's gender is going to be. So I think that one is also really cool, especially your kids might know someone who's being raised from birth as like non-binary or without the parents like specifying a binary gender. And this would be a cool book to choose. That is a great book for like just getting ready to be a big brother or sister. And it's a great book about a transgender boy being able to explain that to his parents, who are loving and supporting in their reaction. So I do enjoy that one. Julian Is a Mermaid by Jessica Love is another book that's categorized as like trans literature. This one's a little bit less explicit. It's just Julian is on the subway with his granny and sees these mermaids who, I think it's at the end, there's like a parade of them going to the beach, and it's sort of like a fantastical thing, but I'm thinking maybe it has to do with like pride, or seeing like drag queens or trans women on a subway train and like being just like dazzled by that and wanting to be a part of that. But in the book, it's like a fantasy procession of like mermaids and fish people and crab people who are going to the ocean. But so Julian sees the mermaids and then goes home and basically tears up his abuela's house trying to become a mermaid. So like he tears out her potted plant and like tears down the curtains and makes a skirt. And I'm saying he, I don't know, actually, no, I don't think Julian's pronouns are ever specified. So I'll just say Julian. But, and then also, and then, so you think that maybe grandma's gonna be upset because of tearing up her house, but instead she gives Julian a beautiful necklace to wear with it. And then they go back outside and find the mermaids and join the procession to the beach to become magical mermaid people. So it's just kind of fantastical. The queer element is a little bit more vague, but I think that can be really, really great. And it's kind of just a book about being fabulous and loving yourself. And it won the Stonewall Book Award as well, so that's cool. And definitely recommend this one. Okay. This one's so fun. The hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish. So this is the wheels on the bus, but instead it's the hips on the drag queen. And my daughter especially likes all the names of the different drag queens are in the beginning, and my daughter is just like obsessed with these drag queens and how beautiful they are and fantastic they are. I mean, who wouldn't be? And this is actually put out by the Drag Queen Story Hour like organization, which unfortunately was like harassed into shutting down here in Houston. But that was like pre-COVID. That kind of happened right before COVID. So I don't know what the status of that is. I mean, everything in the library got shut down because of COVID. So I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully Drag Queen Story Hour comes back, because I think my daughter would really love it after reading this book. And this is by Lil Miss Hot Mess, illustrated by Olga de Dios. So I'm assuming it's written by a drag queen. So it's just so fun. The hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish. And then the hair on the drag queen goes up, up, up. And, oh, this is my daughter's favorite page. The jewels on the drag queen go bling, bling, bling. And she's like, oh my God, the queen. She loves this page. So it's just a really fun book to celebrate Pride and sing with your kids. I didn't explain the concept of drag queens, because we've just read this book once, but my daughter just like accepted it. Like, they're drag queens, that must mean like awesome queens, because these drag queens all look amazing. Very, very fun. And if you have a Drag Queen Story Hour in your area and it's come back after COVID, you should like definitely go support them. And you could read your kids this book as like a fun companion to that activity. All right, the last book that I physically have to talk to you about is This Day in June, and that's by Gail E. Pittman, illustrated by Christina Litton. This book is also a little bit vague in its queer representation. It doesn't actually go, it's about a pride parade. Also a rhyming poem of just showing different people who you might see at Pride. But it doesn't say what the parade is or what it all means. You're just seeing different types of people you might see at Pride. So like bikers, lots of folks in rainbow gear, clad in leather, perfect weather. Like, so to everyone who's been doing the discourse on Twitter about like there should be no leather at Pride, like, no. And they're saying it's not kid friendly. And like, if it's in a kid's book, it's kid friendly. Get over yourselves. So just all kinds of different groups. You got a group of sailors, you know. So it's not saying like what Pride is all about, but just kind of celebrating how fun it is and how many fun different people you would see at Pride, which is how a kid experiences Pride, right? Like, they don't care about like the politics. I mean, once they're like 4 or 5, they can understand these things, but when they're like a baby through a toddler, they would just be there and see like, wow, everyone looks so fun. There's so many colors here, you know? So I like that. And the last page is This Day in June, we're all united. So that's a nice message there. And like, I think even babies would love this book, babies all the way through whenever. The last book I don't have physically, but I was so kindly sent a PDF of it by the illustrator, and that is March with Marcia. And I want to get this book because it is so cool. I'm going to put a picture of the cover here. So this is about the actually origins of Pride. So actually that would be a great book to read to help kids understand this one. And it talks about Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and how they were being harassed by cops at the Stonewall Inn. It was Marsha's birthday, and Sylvia Rivera threw a bottle at the cops, and the cops were very mean to them. And then it shows, you know, the next day, Marsha P. Johnson throwing a bag full of bricks on a cop car. It's not mincing any words, but it's written in very like kiddie language to understand. It's not whitewashing pride. It's not, it's the true story of how like two fed up trans women like started a riot of color, trans women of color, started a riot and stood up to the police who were harassing them and started a movement that changed the world. And so that story should be told. It should be told to kids. So that book may be a bit off the beaten track, but definitely check it out. And I loved it and I want to get it. And so that's March with Marsha by Katie Hall, illustrated by Veronica Rivera. And thank you again for sending me a PDF of it. So those are my picks for Pride LGBTQ picture books you can read in the month of June and all year long. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you have a lovely Pride. Ours got postponed until fall, which everyone in the queer community in Houston is really excited about. Like, even though that kind of distances its connection to Stonewall, it's 100 degrees here in June with like 100% humidity, and Pride is always just like so much suffering to just like stand upright. So I'm actually pretty excited. It's going to be in the fall this year, and they moved it to the fall because of COVID and like permits and stuff. But yeah, so we're unfortunately not celebrating this month as a city, but we can still celebrate, you know, Pride Month in our hearts. And I am excited that we will have a little bit cooler weather for Pride this year in Houston. So yeah, that's it. And I hope you all have a great day. Please follow me and subscribe for more picture book reviews. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day. Bye.